Hi, everybody. This is Sarah Needham, and I help tech founders and leaders unleash their impact in creating a more sustainable life on Earth whilst actually looking after themselves, so creating a more sustainable business. And today we're here to talk sharing bravely into 2021. And I'm super excited to see Alina here, who's offered to spend some time with me and share a bit about what she's been through. Hi, Alina.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah.
So maybe you could just tell us a bit about yourself, where you're based, and also where you're born, perhaps.
So, based in Berlin, I'm a chemical engineer by background, now turned entrepreneur, but I was actually born and raised just outside London.
Cool. And how would you describe yourself so that the people listening to this can understand a bit about you?
Um, I'm a person who has decided to just dedicate their life to things that they are passionate about. So, my passion was and still is sustainability. That was the reason for studying my degree. Now my passion is around solving certain problems within textile waste, but also helping minority founders to raise investment. So I'm a person who has always followed my passion.
That's very cool. So, what is it? What's important to you about building your business, about building Kleiderly?
Um, for me, it's always been about creating impact. I've had, I'm quite creative, so I tend to have lots of ideas. But if that idea doesn't have an impact, then it doesn't, I have no motivation to want to do it. So when the idea for Kleiderly came about, it was certainly probably one of the most complicated things I had decided to venture into, but it was the complexity of it and it not being easy to do and being, a great solution to a huge problem that gave me the passion to do it.
Okay. So, tell us a bit about what Kleiderly does and the challenge you've got.
So having worked in the waste sector for many years as a chemical engineer, I had seen waste from different sectors, but I hadn't seen waste from the textile industry until I took a trip to Tanzania in 2018. And during that trip, I saw where our textile waste goes and how we deal with it as first world countries and what we do by dumping it on third world countries. So I decided to solve that problem in particular by coming up with a way to recycle textile waste into a new material, which is the best way to describe it would be an alternative to plastic. So you're essentially solving two problems at once. You're taking textile waste that otherwise goes to a landfill or an incinerator, and you're recycling it into a plastic. So then you don't need plastics derived from crude oil.
Very cool. So, tell us a bit about yourself. What you're doing takes obviously a lot of your time and energy. So, what is it that you do to actually nurture yourself to be able to keep going on this journey?
Um, I think it is really hard to do so, but it's important to think about why you started in the first place. And I have certainly had times or moments of up and down where it's so tough that you feel like giving up. It's you really do, but you have to look back and think, well, why did I start this? and and you have to look at how far you've come, and that helps you to keep going. You've come this far, you've gone through so many different challenges, you'll be able to tackle the upcoming challenges. um, so I constantly remind myself of the reason why I'm doing it. The other thing I've started to do to sort of nurture myself is to really consciously take time to switch off and to not work myself into the ground, and to not work all hours of the day like I used to, but actually taking that time to really step away from the business. Because now that I've been doing that, I realize actually that's when I am the most creative, or I suddenly find a solution to a problem when you're doing something completely different. But you have to be in that state of mind where you're switching off entirely, no emails, no checking of stuff on the phone, but actually just switching off entirely.
I love that. So, actually, in building the business, you recognize that downtime is as important as the time you've got focused in order to be able to be creative and support yourself.
Yeah. And also find solutions to problems that you can't think about when you're physically trying to find the problem, the solution. You actually find it you know, at the most random time possible, like when you're exercising or when you've gone out for a walk.
Yeah. Follows all the advice that actually that's our most creative when we're kind of on the edge of that relaxation period. Cool. Where are you perhaps too hard on yourself, or where are you maybe unable to laugh at yourself?
Oh, that's a good question. I like to be as quick as possible with everything I do. And so from the outside, everyone's like, oh wow, you've done so much. But I'm quite harsh on myself and always look back and think, no, I could definitely have done that quicker, or I could have pushed a bit more. So that's something I really struggle with, is to even acknowledge what I've achieved. I tend to think, no, I could have done better.
Okay. So it's about achievement and that internal drive, which is actually good in getting you where you want to go, but it's always got the kind of the negative side of it as well as the internal motor.
Absolutely.
Cool. Thank you for sharing. And what is one piece of advice you'd wish you'd known 12 months ago, which would have helped you?
I wish I had been probably more open with people to get advice from them. And I also wish I would have reminded myself as much as I do now why I'm doing this in the first place. Because if I hadn't, if I don't, like, this constant reminding of why I'm doing this helps me to really see where my direction is and what direction I want to go in. But it's quite easy to veer off that when you're not checking in with yourself constantly. So this whole checking in with myself and talking to people about that would have really helped 12 months ago.
Thanks for sharing. That's great. What's your one wish for yourself for 2021?
I look back on 2020 and I think, great year, but all I can remember is the stress of working so hard. So my wish for 2021 would be to look back and think, great year in terms of achievement, but also that I didn't just work, that I also managed to, really take downtime and really enjoy myself in completely other aspects, because I don't want to be just my business, what I'm doing. There is another side of me, and so I need to nurture that more in 2021.
Okay, so something about being conscious about how you're spending your time and energy, and it plays into what you were saying earlier about balance, doesn't it? That's very cool. And what's your one wish for the planet for 2021?
I will always go back to textiles and textile waste, because this is my daily topic. Before you ever, I would hope that everyone really thinks about their consumption. I certainly think they have done so during COVID. It's really helped people to realize, why do I buy so many things? So my one wish would be that people really, not just double but triple think about what they're buying. Do they really need it? Will they be wearing it for a long time? Is it something that will last for a while? Is it worth the money? And is it really making them happy? Or are they just trying to, make themselves feel better about another problem?
So looking into that next level.
Yeah.
And what is one change that you're making to live more sustainably in 2021?
So a part of the Kleiderly January goals was everyone in the team has set sustainability targets for themselves. And two of mine were, one, to not buy any clothes for the whole of January, which was fine and easy to do. So I should probably set that again for the whole quarter. The second target that I had was to actually not wash or do clothes washes on a half a cycle. So, if half of the washing machine is full, wait till it's entirely full and then put it on. Because, when you wash clothes, you're using so much energy unnecessarily. And so you can wait a few days till your load is ready to go and you have a full load on.
Yeah, great ideas. What is your one motivational saying, or perhaps a book or a podcast that you found recently, which you think that others could benefit from, and why?
Oh, there's so many. It's hard to pick my top one. I have a book that I'm reading right now, but I can't remember the exact name of it. It's about helpful habits that you should have and how you can grow just by changing small habits daily.
Yeah.
But I would have to send you the link after so that you can link it below.
Yes, please do, because I'm sure other people can benefit from that. I've just read one as well, very similar, called Atomic Habits, which
Yeah.
was like also amazing, just seeing how small, like you're saying, small changes each day can actually all mount up over time, and how we can create sustainable habits for what we actually want to achieve in life, rather than just what we're trying to achieve on that particular day.
I read a quote recently that said that the change comes in your life through your daily routine. It's something you'd never think about, but if you do something, even if it's just for half an hour every day, eventually that can change your life. So it's about small little habits that you can do every single day that will make a change overall.
Yes, I'm hearing something about consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. And one last thing would you like to share with our listeners?
I think my greatest lesson since I started my business was to check in on myself. And I know that it's very common for founders to not give themselves that time. And when you're in the thick of it, when someone's telling you to go and relax, it's the last thing you want to hear. But having been through all of that, and now on this side where I'm actually taking that time, I realize just how valuable that is. So whoever's and not just a founder, but even just when you're working in a job and you feel extremely stressed, taking that time for yourself is probably one of the most important things you can do. So don't feel guilty, because you can keep going, but eventually you will burn out. So give yourself that time.
Great advice. Thank you for sharing, Alina, and lovely to chat to you. Take care.
Thank you.